Hello and welcome to the February edition of Virtana Platform Overview. Today we're going to focus on outcomes and capabilities, show those capabilities in a live demo, and then give you some valuable resources to use during your journey across Virtana Platform. The Virtana Platform consists of 4 modules, of which Migrate is the first. With Virtana Migrate, you can accelerate and remove the risk from the migration of existing applications to the cloud. The other modules build upon Migrate by empowering you to optimize, manage, and ultimately validate your hybrid cloud digital transformation. Virtana Migrate takes a revolutionary approach to cloud migration readiness and planning. The Migrate module will ingest workload inventory, conversations, and utilization data collected from an environment targeted for migration to the public cloud or private cloud, and provide capabilities for reviewing and organizing the data. It calculates move groups that are categorized by the level of difficulty required for the migration. With Virtana Migrate, enterprises can make data-driven migration decisions to get it right the first and every time workloads are migrated. This unified platform for migrating and optimizing hybrid and multi-cloud environments is powered by artificial intelligence that can help you reduce your cloud expense by up to 25% with an expected ROI of 145% over 3 years.
Let's look at the high-level capabilities of Virtana Migrate. Organize your virtual wisdom discovered data into a single view and view, verify, and change the data. Understand your migration data by creating applications or other groups based on properties, mapping and verifying dependencies between applications or custom groups, and easily seeing network dependencies between applications and internal and external resources. Automatically build move groups based on complexity, reassign applications with common dependencies to the same move groups, then view dependencies between the move groups to validate your migration decisions. Virtual Wisdom discovers the workload infrastructure assets and collects key performance and operational metrics to fully understand each workload's profile before migration. This data is uploaded into Virtana Migrate, where you can identify dependencies between related workloads, infrastructure, and IT services to create target move groups of applications and services to migrate together for improved performance and reduced risk. Digital transformation projects must organize and track complex data throughout their life cycle. There are often multiple organizations undergoing migration with multiple target workloads identified for migration. You can consolidate your projects using our organization and project framework to easily keep track of your migration project data and status. Through our Virtual Wisdom Discovery, Migrate provides the most accurate inventory across vendors and infrastructure types of the infrastructure targeted for migration. Through our single view of migration data, you'll see a complete inventory of the infrastructure assets targeted for migration and can view properties, verify completeness, validate accuracy, and make required changes before planning the actual migration. Data can also be downloaded for offline review. Our flexible approach to migration asset tracking and organization enables you to view properties and relationships, create applications and other custom dependency mapping groups based on properties like owner or data center, exclude assets from dependency mapping, and move applications and compute instances between move groups. You can calculate dependencies using the default application dependency mapping or create your own custom groups based on property values associated with your infrastructure assets. Our one-click dependency mapping automatically calculates the dependencies for all applications or custom groups, or a single application or group. Once mapping is complete, you can view network dependencies in the application itself, between the application and other applications, between applications and internal and external resources, and between applications and virtual machines. Inventory and throughput data is also presented in the dependency mapping view. View throughput details, service details by compute instance or application, and network conversation and endpoint data. Virtana Migrate analyzes move group scenarios and automatically calculates move groups based on complexity. Once move groups are calculated, you can view network dependencies for all move groups or a single move group. Drill down to view detailed analysis of the move group and observe network data and infrastructure asset inventory and properties. Use our Move Group feature to validate your migration planning decisions before you migrate.
The demo that we're going to show you here today is based on the features that were launched in January 2021. As a SaaS product, new features will be released periodically. Virtana Migrate answers those critical questions via three main outcomes. The questions that we answer are what applications I have and the compute and storage that supports them. What are the application dependencies? How often they communicate? The amount of traffic. Which applications are easy to move? Which applications should move together? The sequence I should move those applications. How often the migration event should be defined. Those are the answers that Virtana Migrate provides. To get those answers and to reach those outcomes, we first deploy Virtual Wisdom in an on-premise data center. Virtual Wisdom is going to collect the critical inventory data, properties in time series data during the peak business hours of our data center. Once the data is collected, that data is imported into Virtana Migrate, where it's going to go into a data consistency resolution process, otherwise known as data cleansing, removing duplicates, conflict resolution integration with systems such as AppDynamics or ServiceNow. In any case, once the applications are initially discovered, the next stage is to validate and refine those applications. This is the entry point for this demo. The demo is going to take us over how we validate applications, how do we discover the dependencies, and how to create the move groups, which is part of outcome number 2. So with that, let's go to the system and log into the Virtana Migrate platform. So here we are in the login page of the Virtana Migrate platform. All users are going to use credentials to enter into the Virtana Migrate platform. The Virtana Migrate platform is a multi-tenant environment. As we can see here, there is many organizations, and I will have any subscriber, any user of Virtana Migrate will have credentials and will be authorized to use only to the organizations they're allowed to. Each organization has the projects that are being worked on. For example, here we have the streamer lane, targeted applications import, windsurfers. To add a new project to my organization, all I have to do is click the new project, include the name. In this case, let's call it targeted data center applications. It's going to be version 1. And here, I'm going to drag and drop this file that has all the data that has been cleaned and ready to be processed by Virtana Migrate. So we create the project. It's going to run. It's going to take a little while, but we already have a project that we can work on, which is the targeted applications I want to migrate to the cloud. So I go into that project, and the first thing we want to do is take a look at the environment overview. So what Virtana Migrate is showing us is there are 367 virtual machines, of which we targeted 69 for migration. Those 69 virtual machines have 225 that don't have IP addresses. The important thing to highlight is this network throughput diagram that is showing us those 69 virtual machines that were targeted for migration that are part of our applications, of which they are communicating with 535 external endpoints and 123 endpoints. On the right-hand side, Virtana Migrate is showing us the network conversations. the network services, name of IP address, conversations, and so on. It's giving us an overview of the environment. Here below we have this table that is showing us what the VMs are communicating with, the network protocol, the throughput, and so on. This is important to understand. For example, by clicking on the network service, we can see the grouping of the services that these virtual machines use to communicate. For example, virtual machines use FileNet to communicate internal and to another VM. If I'm interested in finding out how the QShell protocol is being used, we can see here that virtual machines are using that network service protocol to communicate externally, internally, and to other VMs. Of high interest is going to be this external communication. So now that we understand our environment, we're ready to move and look at the applications. To do that, we go to the left-hand side where Virtana Migrate offers an easy to navigate menu. We're going to go into the inventory workbench to inspect our compute instances, applications, and move groups. Here on this pane, we have the instances, the compute instances, virtual machines. From now on, I'm going to refer to this as virtual machines. Here we have the applications that were discovered, and here we're going to have the move groups. So now that I have all the applications, the initial applications entered, I may like to inspect them. For example, I'm going to look at application number 1 by just clicking on the radio button. Virtana Migrate is going to reveal that this application consists of 2 virtual machines. Furthermore, it's telling me that this virtual machine is actually part of yet another application called application number 7, application number 4, and application number 6. The virtual machine on the bottom here is talking to even more applications. 3, 5, 1, virtual machine 1, application 6. And in addition to that, Virtana Migrate has revealed to us, based on our algorithms, that this virtual machine is hard to move because of its traffic, because of the dependencies to other applications. In fact, both of them are hard to move. So Virtana Migrate is starting to show us the environment and what we're dealing with if we want to migrate these applications. What Virtana Migrate allows data center owners and migration projects is that as you're looking at these applications, we'll be conducting interviews with the application owners. And they will be telling us and verifying which applications are being validated correctly. For example, here we're looking at services, Windows machines, of which there are 14, and we'll look at their properties. These are being rated as medium to move to the cloud. But let's say that the application owner is telling us you're missing an application. There is an application called Services Production, and their virtual machines are named with Services Production as their first letters in the name. So the first thing we're going to do then is let's create that application that is going to be called Services Production. We create the application, which has been added here, Services Production. But now let's find those virtual machines that are part of that application and that we need to include here. The way we do that is let's search for it using the quick filter capability, which is here. By typing the first letters of the name they gave us, we start filtering immediately the virtual machines that we're looking for. We see that this services production virtual machines, but it's not the ones we really want. There are some of here that are ones we want, but if we keep typing production, it finds all those 4 virtual machines that are part of that application. So what we're going to do is select them all and drag and drop them over to the application. Now the application has those 4 virtual machines that need to be part of it. We're going to save that application. And once we have saved this application, what we're going to do is calculate the dependencies of all the applications that we have here. So there it is. We started the process. It's calculating processing millions of records, doing the aggregation, the filtering, and doing all the correlation. So Virtana Migrate has completed the calculations. Now what we're going to do next is go and inspect the application. We do that by going to the application summary workbench. We click on the application summary workbench to look at all the applications that we have, and we can see here the services brought application that we just created. So let's go inspect that application to understand what the application consists of. So there we have that this application has those 4 virtual machines that we added, but most importantly, that now we know that 3 of them are communicating via these IP addresses. 1 is not. 1 is presumably has storage associations, but is being used for some purposes other than communicating. Here we have a very wonderful view of the application that is showing us that the application that consists of those 3 VMs communicating, they're communicating with 11 virtual machines, orphan VMs if you like, they're not part of any applications, is communicating externally to 2 VMs, is communicating to 6 applications in the environment, and is communicating with 28 endpoints internally. So now we're starting to understand what the application is doing in our data center. Furthermore, I would like to know what type of protocol, what type of service is my production application communicating with these 6 applications. The answer is right here. We can see the application communicating with those 6 other applications via the Web Service Secure Service Protocol, otherwise known as HTTPS. It's a browser type of protocol. We also see here on the right that services production is communicating internally using these services. One of them is SSH. Here we see that the application is communicating with these virtual machines using these protocols and externally using these other protocols. So now that we have a better understanding of what the application consists of, we're going to take a look at what are the client applications communicating with our services production when the services production application is the server. So we're going to click on this client dependencies to reveal what are the applications and what services protocols are we using. So we can see here that the throughput is listed here, and down here we see that our application, the services production application, is communicating to these other services via these port numbers, which is very important to understand for firewall rules, the services, the average throughput, the client, and we can see that all the information is right here too, and we can export this information. We can also take a view at when the services production application, it's a client and has server dependencies. In other words, our application is now a client and requires services from these other applications, and here are the applications that are serving data to our services production application. Now we're starting to understand all the different communication types, the dependencies of what is this application dependent on. So now that we have a good grasp for the application and all the important properties and dependencies, we are ready to move to the next stage, which is let's go and create the move groups. To do that, we're going to go back to the workbench. Now that we're back in the workbench, we know now what our application consists of, so let's create a couple of move groups. Let's create a move group called move group number 1. We create move group 1, and we want to create another move group called move group 2. We create the move group number 2. So now that we have our move groups created, let's add the applications that need to move together. Let's take our services applications, these 2 applications, services prod and services windows. We're going to take those. Let's put them into move group number 1 by just drag and dropping those applications into that move group. Also, let's create the next move group by selecting this application 1, 2, 3, and 4. These 4 applications are going to be part of move group number 2. We select them and we drop them into the move group number 2. So now let's save the move groups, and we're going to recalculate these move groups. So let's recalculate these move groups and everything associated with. So we're going to do that. The system is going to start processing. So now that the system has concluded, now we're ready to inspect the move groups. The way we do that is that we go to the analysis under the move group. Analysis summary under the move group pane. So here we are, and it's showing us all these applications, move group 1 and move group 2. Move group 1 is showing us, and we can see that move group number 1 has those applications that we added, the virtual machines that each of these applications consist of. But let's go back to the analysis summary to see how those move groups associate with each other. So here we see move group number 1 with its applications communicating with group number 2. And this now can be our migration event where these 2 move groups move together. And this concludes the Virtana Migrate demo. Thank you.
You can access help or support for Virtana Migrate using the question mark icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screens. Click on that and it will get you to the Help Center where you can find the documentation. Or you can go straight to support by clicking on that. Click on Contact Support and it will pull up the support menu. Send that in. Virtana Migrate support is available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. Another option is support.virtana.com. There you can find the same documentation through the documentation link, or the status page, which provides you the status of the Virtana Migrate platform. You can also subscribe to updates for just status. Also, you can sign up for and sign into Virtana Platform Customer Support Portal. Finally, if you go to the Virtana.com website and click on the support link, that will provide you a reminder of the hours and also the direct email address for Virtana Platform support.
Thank you for your time today. To get more information about Virtana Platform, come back to our recurring Virtana Platform Update webinars. Check back often. Online documentation can be found at docs.virtana.com. This is your one-stop shop for all technical documentation. Or visit our Virtana website to learn more about all of our products at Virtana. Thank you very much.